Hello friends, this week on Heat Vision Breakdown we are joined by very, very special guests, the screenwriters of Avengers Endgame and a lot of other Avengers films as well, Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great to be.
I think we're past the spoiler warnings, but I just want to give a spoiler warning in case anyone's watching this who hasn't seen Endgame.
You've been warned.
The 3 people on the planet who haven't seen it. Let's start off with the Endgame itself. In this film, Doctor Strange reiterates that there was only one way that they could beat Thanos, and he does it with one finger, just like that. When he was saying that, was he referring to the only way that destroys the Infinity Stones, or the only possible way they could beat Thanos? Because it seems like destroying the Infinity Stones was kind of part of his plan.
I believe he saw all the way to the end, including the rat.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I think he saw Endgame the movie. And so the only way this works is if Tony dies. And if you go back and watch Infinity War, when he says one, Benedict, turns out is a really good actor, he's just choked on emotion. And now that you know the end, I go back and watch that moment. He means you're going to have to die, Tony.
Is there a chance that Tony Stark could be brought back with the Infinity Gauntlet? And the reason I ask is because we have some time travel going now, so it could be possible to go back and get the full Infinity Gauntlet. He's not trapped by the Soul Stone, correct?
As far as I know, no one's trapped by the Soul Stone.
Really?
There's absolutely no indication of that in these movies. You're bringing the comic books to the movies. The Gauntlet, as yet, has not brought back anybody to life that wasn't removed by the Gauntlet. Tony was physically killed.
Count Vision, who was brought back to life.
Only to then die again.
It's perhaps not the time on this
Yeah,
on
real.
camera.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And that was really helpful.
We just rewind time again?
That's right.
I think Tony has reached his end.
It is part of the burden of time travel, right?
Yeah.
Like if you introduce it, can you just continue to get out of jail free?
Right.
I don't think that's great storytelling. So my hope is that Marvel doesn't just choose to make.
And there's always those questions, because if we're gonna harp on the Vision question, that was using the Time Stone, which turns pockets of time backwards. So then you have the chunk of Hong Kong that's about 5 minutes behind the rest of Hong Kong. And does that stay that way permanently from the end of Doctor Strange? Is like if you're walking along the street and then you...
Right.
Yeah.
If I was cooking a burrito at that time, it'd be...
That's right.
Yeah.
Burritos.
Yeah.
In Infinity War, we saw Steve Rogers fend off Thanos at the end of the movie, and Thanos looked a little bit surprised that Steve Rogers was able to do that. Wielding the Infinity Gauntlet takes a heavy toll on everyone who uses it, including Thanos and even the Hulk. Would it be possible that Steve Rogers was able to wield the Infinity Gauntlet, seeing as how he was able to wield Mjolnir, and he was able to fend off Thanos? He clearly has something there.
I think Steve would be toast.
Yeah, there are no bigger fans
Yes.
than us, but even we would have to say that.
I think in that moment, Thanos is partially impressed by Steve's will. He's like, I can't believe this guy who apparently has no powers is trying this. He's almost like, really? Bam. The Hulk was the only one who could survive, and Tony was the only one who was willing to die at that point.
I'm breaking my heart all over
Yeah,
again.
I know, it's very sad.
Bucky seemed to know that Cap was going to go back in time and live his life with Peggy. They kind of share a knowing look. A question that comes after that is, did Cap go to Bucky first before he did that to try and offer him the mantle of Captain America?
That's not our intent.
Really?
No,
Okay.
I think it's just honoring their relationship. That's one of the casualties of some of this storytelling, is that that's a whole rich relationship that doesn't get a lot of time in these two movies. But I think it was before he stepped on that platform, or it was even in that scene, had told Bucky what he was going to do. Now, whether he knew he was going to appear on that bench, I kind of don't think so.
Okay.
But it's why would Bucky say, "I'm going to miss you, pal," if it was only going to be 5 seconds?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think they've been looking after each other for their whole lives, and Steve has kind of seen Bucky back to rehabilitation, and I think Bucky would help Steve get to his completion point as much as Steve's been helping him.
Because they're buds.
They're buds.
Yeah. Speaking of Captain America and Bucky, in Winter Soldier, we established that Peggy Carter was married and she had 2 kids.
Yes.
We now know that Cap went back in time and married Peggy Carter. Is that the same Cap? Was it always him?
It is some conversation to be had on this. Quantum physics works in interesting ways, and what Marvel chooses to do is not up to us. But
We like your idea.
Yeah.
Really? All right.
yes, it was our intention that he was always the father of those 2 children.
Aw, it's very sweet.
But again, there are time travel loopholes for that, or
Yes.
would require time travel.
It does introduce the idea, though, that there are two children who have somewhat super soldier DNA.
Right. Which, well, I mean, at this point, they'd be 60-something years old,
Yes.
but
That's right.
Yes.
Like, he was 123 and he looked amazing.
that's true, yeah. He had a full head of hair.
But also the late 60s set Adventures of the Rogers Twins, where they're just a couple of plucky young kids with semi-superpowers.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
that's
I
all
would
I'm saying.
so
I'm sure
watch
there's a lot of other people
Yeah.
who would too. There was a time that we didn't know that Captain America 3 was going to be Civil War. Was there a draft of the script that you guys wrote, or any time where you were working as it not being Civil War?
Not a draft. There were outlines where we were basically, we had the Zemo plot line based around Bucky. And we had that whole structure, but it wasn't so much about pitting Steve and Tony together. And it fit in, when Civil War kind of rose to the surface, it fit in really nicely into that. Right. So
It wasn't a great enough A plot. It became an excellent B plot.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I mean, because Tony Stark's heritage and his parents were such a huge part of that. If you didn't know that Tony Stark was going to be in it, were you still writing it that way, or
No,
with Zemo?
it wasn't. No, that's the thing. So
Okay.
it was always a 60% of what it could be.
Interesting.
It was more about, I think, things that had happened in Bucky's past as the Winter Soldier that were being avenged.
Gotcha. There are a lot of alternate timelines which we have talked about that have come about as a result of Endgame, or possible alternate timelines. Just to keep track, I wrote them down because I couldn't possibly remember them. There's a lot. I don't know how you guys do it. One, we have 2012 Loki now as an Infinity Stone. We have a 2014 where Thanos, Gamora, Nebula, and their entire army teleported to 2023,
Yeah.
from which they never came back. We have a timeline where Captain America marries Peggy Carter, which we talked about. And then the question is, in 2013, did the timeline change because Thor went back and then took Mjolnir?
Right.
So does 2013 not have...
Now,
The Ancient One says these things you only create a branch timeline when you remove a stone.
Okay.
And Steve's on a mission at the end of the movie to put the stones back and erase the timelines. So I actually don't think there are any alternate timelines. I think all that stuff happened in one timeline.
Okay. We need a Captain America Capers Through Time movie, I feel like.
well,
you know.
yes, I'd watch that.
Capers Through Time. Not doing your job for you, I'm just saying that.
Well, I mean,
I'm unemployed.
I've been looking for someone to do my job for
There we
me for
go.
so
Problem
long.
solved.
All I got is him. He does half.
There's been, I'm gonna say trolling, I guess I don't know what other word to use, about the scene towards the end of Endgame where all the women kind of come together and have a moment.
Yeah.
What was the process of you guys writing that, and what are your responses to people who have called it, people have called it pandering or other annoying...
We certainly thought long and hard about it. I remember on set that day when we did it, every woman in the crew came down because they were incredibly excited to see this, and it was a big moment. We took pictures of everybody, and it was important in the shooting of it.
Yeah. It is a celebration. It
Yeah.
is not meant to say, okay, we covered the women, we're never going to do it again.
Right.
It's just there are multiple pairings throughout that entire battle of various subsets of heroes, and that was one that clearly was awesome. We had everybody.
Right.
Why not do it? It's great. People cheer. At no point did we go, great, that'll please the feminists. No, we did it because we love the characters, and it worked very well.
And we asked ourselves, is it, have we earned it? And occasionally in the edit we'd say, should we take it out? And everyone would say, geez, I like it. I recognize there'll be think pieces about it.
Right.
But as Chris said, every audience I'm in, there's cheers. Some people online might not like it, but a lot of people in the theater do.
I think it was
Yeah.
the majority of people it was well received by. We have theorized here at the Hollywood Reporter that Namor could be the villain in Black Panther 2. Perhaps a coincidence, but this is why I'm asking you. In Endgame, Okoye mentions undersea earthquakes. Was that a coincidence, or you guys?
We were that smart.
Yeah.
You could have taken credit for it. Nobody would know.
but
I'm
like-
fascinated to what is the basis for your theory that he's going to be the villain? Because I know nothing.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've been.
He's kind of a jerk, therefore.
Do we need more reason than that?
No, you're
Possibly.
kinda
No.
done.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes, I think we are totally laying the groundwork.
You heard it here
What is it?
first.
Landlocked country, right?
Well, underwater channels.
Really?
Yeah,
Alright.
channels.
You guys went back through time. I figure you could figure out a way to. Yeah.
And maybe Wakanda has an island.
Oh, they got a satellite office?
Well, we have Hawaii. It's nowhere near the rest of America.
Excellent point. Yeah, they colonized something? That's not how they work.
Oh, yeah. No, there is that.
At the end of Endgame, a lot of people have sparked a little bit of rumors about Ben Mendelsohn's character from Captain Marvel, Talos, in a human form, being a teacher at Peter Parker's school. He shows up very briefly in the background. The faces you're giving me makes me think that you did not know about that.
You think Ben Mendelsohn is literally in the movie? Like, people say that?
That's what they're saying.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
That would be amazing, although wasn't the whole deal he and the other Skrulls went off to live happily ever after and find a
20
Skrull
years
colony?
earlier.
Maybe he wanted to sculpt young minds on Earth.
Right.
You make that sound creepy. Teaching is a noble
It's a
profession.
noble profession.
There are things people have told me about in these movies, which we worked on for nearly 5 years, that I've never seen. So I should probably watch it again. But
I think that speaks to how rich and deep the films
It
are.
is a tapestry.
Based on your writing, yes, exactly. In Spider-Man Far From Home, the trailer that was released this week establishes that the snaps ripped a tear into multiple different multiverses, different universes out there. Is it possible that it also spread radiation that created mutants, and this is how we could get the X-Men into the
Listen,
MCU?
we didn't know that it ripped a hole in anything.
You didn't!
I saw that trailer like everybody else and went, huh, okay. Anything's possible, but I don't know whether you'd need that. I mean, genetic mutation is genetic mutation. It just happens. Maybe they're already out there. I don't know.
I do think that whenever Kevin decides to do X-Men or Fantastic Four, it's going to be, it won't be how you think it's going to happen. You know, I think he's going to have a real clever version of it.
Have you had in the past where you wrote something that maybe you didn't write, but it ended up becoming something?
Becoming a franchise?
Yeah, exactly. Or, like a little detail that spawned.
I mean, we wrote Peggy Carter to be in 1943 in one movie. We didn't know that she was going to be this fan favorite and this ongoing thing. And once Haley came on board and we started to see what was happening, everybody was like, oh, I can't believe we're going to dump everybody here in the 40s. Can't we also bring her? And things like that have trickled through. I didn't know Alexander Pierce would pop up in this movie.
You wrote him to pop up in this movie.
I know, but I didn't really know I was going to write him.
It was a surprise.
This all happened in a fugue state.
True.
I woke up, no pants, 2 scripts. It was crazy.
You got a lot out of it.
Well, yeah, no,
No Pants, 2 Scripts is our production agency.
Exactly.
The last question I'm going to ask you, and it's the most important question of all the questions. The Russos have said that they do not know where the mayonnaise on hot dogs bit from Endgame has come from. So I want to know what the real story is. Do you guys put mayonnaise on hot dogs? Where did that come from?
No, I mean, it's in the script, I think.
Yes.
No.
I believe it is.
Is it?
Yeah, who puts mayo on a hot dog?
You were in a fugue state.
No one I know puts mayonnaise on a hot dog.
Well, that's why the question's in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened. Yeah.
You've never put mayonnaise on a hot dog?
No, it's disgusting for psychopaths. Why would you do that?
I mean,
Psychopaths.
I could see it working.
I feel like you have put mayonnaise on a hot dog based on your reaction.
I mean, I can't recall having done it, but sometimes you go to Europe and
true,
like
with
strange
fries.
things happen.
Yeah. The Dutch put mayonnaise on their French fries.
Like I remember being in France and they took a baguette. It was fantastic.
Look who's
They
been to
took a
France.
baguette, they cut the ends off of it, they put it on a heated pole, went like that, created a shaft way down the middle, and put the hot dog in there. And I was like, that's brilliant. There's no gap. It's like it's a seal. Yeah.
That I can understand,
The
but then
French,
squeezing
ladies and
mayonnaise into
gentlemen.
it is
No, you're
where you've lost me. Anyway, thank you. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that mystery.
Yeah, this has been good.
Well, I want to thank you guys again for coming. Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely, the screenwriters of Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you so much for writing a movie that we all love and enjoy.
Thank you for loving it.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.